Mr. President, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're safe. I am glad that everyone is safe. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It was quite an evening. It was a very difficult thing to watch, frankly, but doing very well.
Mr. President, do you know if you were the target of the gunman?
I don't know. It sounds to me, I read a manifesto. He's radicalized. He was a Christian, a believer, and then he became an anti-Christian. He had a lot of change. He's been going through a lot based on what he wrote. His brother complained about him, and I think reported him to the police. His sister likewise complained about him. His family was very concerned. He was probably a pretty sick guy.
I want to get to all of those details and also walk through this, what happened last night. But first, this appears to be the third attempted assassination on your life. The first in Butler, the second, of course, on the golf course in Florida. Why do you think so many people may be trying to kill you?
So I've said it, and I've said it numerous times, and actually, because of the position I'm in, I've done quite a bit of research into the word assassination, terrible word, and they go after consequential presidents. They go after presidents that do things. If you look at what I've done, we've turned this country around. We've taken a country that was actually a dead country. It was dying very rapidly, and it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. We had a skirmish, a war, whatever you want to call it, with Venezuela. We won that very decisively, and we now have a great relationship with Venezuela. It's a very profitable relationship. We're in Iran right now. Other presidents should have done it, but they never chose to do it. They should have. They made a terrible mistake by not doing it. It's tougher now than it would have been 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, because they had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. If we didn't do the B-2 bomber attack, that alone was a big deal. The killing of Soleimani, which I did in my first term, was a big deal. But when you're consequential, when you do things, a lot of things, and things that work out very well for our country, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, McKinley was assassinated. McKinley made the country very rich. People don't realize that. Then Teddy Roosevelt went out and spent the money that was made by McKinley, but he was very consequential, actually, but he was assassinated. So
You mentioned, Mr. President, consequential, and your policies are also controversial. Is that part of it?
Well, I don't think that way. I don't think in terms of what they are. I just think of what they are for the country. For instance, I inherited the worst border we've ever had in the history of our country, where 25 million people came in. 25 million people, at least. And many of them were from hardcore criminals, and they were drug dealers, and they were from prisons. They emptied out prisons into our country. They emptied out mental institutions, insane asylums into our country. And I don't know if that's controversial to say we have to move those people out, but we have. But it is from the standpoint, you're doing something, and you're doing something that's good. Things like men playing in women's sports, I'm against that. Things like transgender for everyone, I'm against that. There's so many things that I'm against. I don't think they're controversial. I think the other side is controversial, but I do a lot of things and I get things done. And we're respected now as a country all over the world. And some people love that, but some people probably don't.
Mr. President, I'm sure you've now had the opportunity to see some of the pictures of what happened last night, and I want to walk through that.
Sure.
It was just around 8:30 p.m. You were sitting there next to the First Lady. The entertainer named Oz Perlman is talking to you. He's known as the Mentalist. When did you know something was wrong?
Right around that point. In fact, you can see the expression on the First Lady's face, and your president of the evening, chairman or president or both, who was doing a great job, by the way.
Weijia Jiang,
your
CBS
associate,
News.
yeah, she was a terrific person, and she was, she had this big smile. I mean, they were, what they were talking. They were asking the name of Caroline's child that he didn't know, I guess. But
Your press secretary is expecting, and he was trying to guess the baby's name.
That's right, and that was the question. That was what he was actually able to get it. I'm not sure I'm a believer in this, but he was able to get it. And the First Lady and your associate were amazed. You could see and that
Shock
was,
on their faces.
it wasn't the shock about something outside. But right after that, we heard a big bang, and it was either a gunshot or it was a tray of dishes, which happens a lot in ballrooms. And I was hoping it was a tray, but it wasn't.
You mentioned the First Lady. Her face, she looked very alarmed. Was she scared?
Well, I don't want to say, and people don't like having it said that they were scared, but certainly, I mean, who wouldn't be when you have a situation like that? By that time, I think she realized ahead of time that that was more of a bullet than it was a tray. And she was, I looked at her face just a little while ago before I came. I saw the scene. They played it for me in pretty good close-up. And she looked very upset about what just took place. Why not?
You see the security moving quickly,
Right.
within seconds, grabbing the vice president by his coat, lifting him up, bringing him out. Then the counter assault comes in. Took 10 seconds for them to flank you, Mr. President, and then 20 seconds to get you out. It looked chaotic. At one point, you were down. What was happening?
Well, what happened is it was a little bit me. I wanted to see what was happening, and I wasn't making it that easy for him. I wanted to see what was going on. And by that time, we started to realize maybe it was a bad problem, different kind of a problem, bad one, and different than what would be normal noise from a ballroom, which you hear all the time. And I was surrounded by great people, and I probably made them act a little bit more slowly. I said, wait a minute, let me see, wait a minute. So, I'm telling guys.
Just at that moment where it looks like you go sort of down with the service,
Well,
you were
they
telling
asked-
them to wait?
Well, I know what happened is then I started walking with them. I turned, I started walking, and they said, please go down on the floor. So I went down, and First Lady went down also, but we were asked to go down by the agents as I was walking. In other words,
They wanted you almost to
I
crawl
was
out.
standing up, pretty much. I was standing up and then turned around the opposite direction and started pretty much walking out, pretty tall, a little bent over because I'm not looking to be standing too tall. And but I was walking out. It was pretty about halfway there, and they said, please go down to the floor, please go down to the floor. So I dropped to the floor, so did the First Lady.
What was your thought at that moment? What did the First Lady say?
Well, my thought was, I've been through this before a couple of times, and she has not, to this extent, she handled it great. I mean, she's very strong, smart. She got it. She knew what was happening. She listened. I did too, by the way.
Because this was the first time
when
she
they
was...
said, when they said drop down, that meant trouble. And obviously, I'm the president, and I listened to what they said. Please drop down, sir. Please drop down. So I was walking halfway, and then I dropped down at the final because we had a little ways to go where you're exposed to the ballroom surroundings. And then I got up, and we went to a hold room for a while, and I tried to get them to continue the event if possible.
You wanted to go back in.
I did, I really did, because I don't like to have a criminal or a sick person or somebody, whoever he is, you'll figure it out. I mean, I think we're already figuring out this man with a lot of problems. But you don't want to have somebody like this, essentially attacking our Constitution, attacking our country, changing events that are, it's an important event. It was a very
A night celebrating the First Amendment and the freedom of the press.
That's right, exactly. And this was a record setter. I mean, this was a very big, that dinner had some problems for the last 9 years, and I didn't help them. And this time I went, and I felt really good being there. There was a great camaraderie. I wasn't sure what the response. It was, a lot of press, a lot of media. And when I walked in, I got a very nice applause. I wasn't sure. I said, told my wife, I said, I may walk in and they may give me a hard time, or I may walk in, let's see what happens. And I walked in and got very nice, I think they were happy to see me there, actually. And I can tell you, there's the biggest impact that I saw in the entire evening was, and I say this being somebody that's had a lot of, let's say, we've argued a little bit to get things that I want done. I fight for a border, and they fight for an open border, and we have a lot of differences.
You've
but
got some tough
there
words
was
for the press in that.
There was tremendous. By this time the event had taken place, people were starting to feel safe. There was tremendous camaraderie. I mean, I saw Democrats, I saw senators, I saw congressmen and women. I saw people that weren't necessarily on my side from the other party, mostly. Pretty much the Republicans are on my side, so I'm not that, surprised. And they were going, way to go. There was spirit in that room. I mean, it was like the whole country was together. It was pretty amazing. It made a big impression. It was very nice to see.
Do you think this will change your relationship with the press?
Well, look, for whatever reason, we disagree on a lot of subjects. We talk about crime. I'm very strong on crime. It seems like the press isn't. It's not so much the press, it's the press plus the Democrats, because they're almost one and the same. It's like the craziest thing. I have the strongest border we've ever had in the country, where, as you know, it said 0 people for 9 months came into our country through our southern border. We have a very tough border. Before me, 25 million people came in. I mean, whether it's 20 or 25 or 30, but they say 25 million people came in. 0 people. We have people coming in legally.
Can I ask you something?
But,
You said
but
something.
the other side doesn't like that. There are things that I like that I think are very standard. I want women to be able to play women. I don't want men in women's sports. And for whatever reason, the other side likes men in women's sports. So when you say get along,
But that's the other side.
I
That's
don't
not
think
the
I could
press.
ever. No, but I don't think I could ever change my feelings on certain policies. I want strong borders. They want open borders. There's such a difference.
Can I ask you, Mr. President?
I will say this though, after the event, meaning it looked like things were good. We knew he was caught. I was given the information immediately. There was a camaraderie that you just have not seen in a while. It's very nice to see.
The President, you, Mr. President, the Vice President, the Speaker of the House, the Secretary of State, Secretary Hegseth, it was the entire line of presidential succession was in that ballroom. Who was the designated survivor?
Well, first of all, I have to say, it's not a safe ballroom. I'm building a safe ballroom. And one of the reasons I'm building it is exactly what happened last night. We're building a room right there. If you walk out and move 20 yards to the left, you'll be right at the entrance to the ballroom. And that ballroom is being built on the safest piece of property in this country, probably one of the safest pieces of land in the world. We have...
But that's owned, that's the White House. The White House Correspondence Center can't use White House property.
It's able to be used by certainly the White House. It says the White House Correspondence. Well, that's the White House Press. I'm sure that it's available. It's up to the president, but that would be made available. And this has bulletproof glass. This has, this is the highest level of security. Also, very importantly, I could have built suites on top. I could have done a lot of things. And I said, no, this has to be pure. This has to be where people stay off property and they go through one very impactful, very strong entrance, one very powerful entrance. There's no games with this. This is the best, highest. This has all sorts of security equipment at levels that you could never have in a regular ballroom. And we're ahead of schedule. We're right on budget, ahead of schedule. I wish it could be even sooner, but we're months ahead of schedule. But it doesn't open till 28. So, that means you have another season and a half to go.
Right.
But this is exactly why the military, and this is exactly why Secret Service and all law enforcement want it, because you have maybe 1,000 hotel rooms above the ballroom we were in last night. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying in terms of maximum security, it's not the best thing. You can do it, but you can have problems like this. They have an elevator that comes down from the rooms. It's very close to the ballroom, which makes sense. So we're doing something that's going to have a tremendous impact on solving this problem.